Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night for you all of viewers from our video. Welcome back again with us, Resti and Ainun Nawafila. Okay friends, today we would like to discuss about clause in English syntax. The first part is the definition of clause. A clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a predicate or a verb. Every complete sentence is made up of at least one or more clauses. For example, John bought a new car, but he is using his old car. There are one sentence and two clauses in that sentence. Another example is I graduated last year. In that sentence, only one clause in each sentence. And another example is when I came here, I saw him and he greeted me. In this sentence, there are three clauses. So, clause has two types. There are independent clause or main clause and dependent clause called subordinate clause. Let's discuss it one by one. The first is independent clause, or we call it main clause. Independent clause is a group of words that have subjects, verbs, and have meaning who complete. Independent clause able to stand itself up in a sentence because its meaning is intact. Jadi, independent clause ini punya makna yang sudah lengkap begitu dalam suatu kalimat. Baik, contohnya, for example, he is a wise man. Dia adalah manusia yang bijak atau orang yang bijak. Kemudian she walked. She is the subject and walk is the predicate. Meskipun hanya terdiri dari dua kata, ini sudah menjadi kalimat yang utuh atau lengkap karena memiliki subjek dan verb. Kemudian I eat bananas in the kitchen. Here, I eat is the subject and verb. An object is the bananas, and the prepositional phrase is in the kitchen. So, prepositional phrase is added to the clause to make it more specific. So, now we are going to discuss about the second type, that is dependent clause or subordinate clause. A dependent clause or subordinate clause is a part of a sentence. It contains a subject and verb but doesn't convey the complete sense. They can make sense on their own, but they are dependent on the rest of the sentence for context and meaning. A dependent clause is joined to an independent clause to form a complex sentence. Jadi, dependent clause itu meskipun mempunyai subjek, mempunyai verb atau predicate, clause ini tidak bisa berdiri sendiri seperti independent clause sebelumnya. Jadi dependent clause harus dipadukan dengan independent clause untuk menjadi sebuah kalimat yang utuh. Then, a clause can be dependent because of presence of a marker word and conjunction. So, the marker word there consists of before, after, because, etc., and the conjunction like and, or, nor, but, and yet. Jadi teman-teman bisa lihat contohnya dalam slide tersebut. Ada 4 contoh kalimat yang terdiri dari dependent clause yang di garis bawahi ya. So, dependent clause are usually marked by dependent words such as subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. Contohnya, whenever I traveled, whom we met on the plane, that they like to eat sushi, etc. So, after we discussed about the example of dependent clause, there are 3 types of dependent clause. There are adverbial clause, adjective clause, and noun clause. The first type is adverbial clause. An adverbial clause is a type of dependent clause that acts as an adverb in the sentence. An adverbial clause will always contain a subject and a verb. However, it cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. For example, you will continue driving north until you see a stop sign. Jadi merujuk pada dependent clause yang tidak bisa berdiri sendiri dalam suatu kalimat, klausa ini meskipun bekerja atau berfungsi sebagai adverb atau kata keterangan, itu tetap harus terhubung dengan klausa yang independen agar menjadi suatu kalimat yang utuh.
The next is adjective clause or relative clause. An adjective clause is a type of dependent clause that acts as an adjective in a sentence. The adjective clause contains both a subject and a verb. However, it cannot stand alone as a complete thought. Adjective clause start with a relative pronoun or a relative adverb. The relative pronouns that are meant are who, whom, that, which, and whose. Meanwhile, the relative adverb used are why, when, and where. Jadi, adjective clause atau relative clause merupakan dependent clause yang berperan sebagai kata sifat atau adjektif. Adjective clause berfungsi untuk menerangkan noun atau kata benda dan pronoun atau kata pengganti pada sebuah kalimat. Noun clause tidak bisa berdiri sendiri dan harus disandingkan dengan noun atau pronoun untuk membentuk sebuah informasi baru. Adjective clause selalu diawali dengan kata yang disebut relative pronoun maupun relative adverb. Next, relative pronoun that are who, whom, which, whose, and that. Whom describe people as subject. Example, the man who looks happy is working in the library. I think the woman who helped my grandmother. Next, whom. Whom describe people but as objects. Example, the girls whom you saw last Saturday is my nephew. The man whom I met was Mr. Han. Next, whose. whose describe the ownership of a sentence subject. Example, the man whose car is black works as a director. Next is which explain a noun or pronoun that will not change the meaning of sentence even though it's not explained. Example, Masha, which is very cute, is my cat. The last is that describe thing or people. Example, this is a good book for children. Next is relative adverb that are why, where, and when. Why explain a reason. Example, I don't know the reason why he's mad at me. Next, where. Where describe a place. Example, Indonesia is the country where I was born. The house where he lives is very old. And last is when. When describe a time. Example, I never forget the day when I met you. I remember the day when my sister was married. The next is noun clause. Noun clause is a dependent clause which functions as a noun. A noun clause can function as a subject or object in another clause. Generally, noun clause is indicated by the word that question word. What, who, when, why, where, how, and whether. Noun clause can function as subject of the verb, subject of complement, object of the verb, object of the preposition, and adjective complement. Noun clause adalah dependent clause yang berfungsi sebagai noun atau kata benda. Noun clause berfungsi sebagai subjek maupun objek di dalam suatu clause. Noun clause dapat berfungsi sebagai subject of verb, subject of complement, object of verb, object of preposition, dan sebagai adjective complement. For example, I remember what you said yesterday. Choose a gift for whomever you want, and I wonder how long we should wait here. Dari contoh yang nomor 1, pada bagian yang digarisbawahi adalah independent clause yang mana dapat berdiri sendiri. Sedangkan kata yang dicetak miring berfungsi sebagai dependent noun clause. Kemudian contoh yang kedua, choose a gift for whomever you want. Siapapun yang Anda inginkan adalah noun clause. Sedangkan klausa tersebut bertindak sebagai objek preposisi dalam kalimat. Dan yang terakhir, I wonder how long we should wait here adalah klausa kata benda atau noun clause. Kata we di sini sebagai subjek dan kata harus menunggu sebagai kata kerja. Klausa di sini bertindak sebagai objek langsung dalam kalimat. Next is noun clause function. The first, the subject of the verb. Example, what she makes beautiful. The second, the subject of complement. Example, the fact is that Naan is beautiful and smart. The third, the object of the verb. Example, I want to know what people think of me. The fourth, the object of the preposition. Example, he will buy whatever suits his body. And the last, adjective complements. Example, we are worried that he couldn't be healthy again. Okay, I think enough for me. That's all our explanation about clause. Thanks for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.